Okay, let's get this up and running. Hopefully everything is okay, and can you hear me? Even though I do sound a little bit nasal, I've got a bit of a cold here at the moment. It's absolutely fine. We will struggle on. We can hear you and no lag. Awesome. It appears to be working. Who's mic and who's the unboxing? What's with the delayed video? Is it that important? I don't know. Is it okay? Are you working okay? Audio is good. All good on my end. Excellent stuff. Stream looks good. All right, let's try all of the outputs that I've actually got connected to make sure that everything is all working. So the intro didn't work. The audio was gone, so I don't know what happened there. Main is working, so the overhead is this one. So should be able to see things. That actually looks quite nice and clear and sharp. Hopefully you can still hear me. If you can, let me know in the chat. He says, sniffing and snuffling. James Brock says, adding a like while doing chores around the homestead. Come and do some chores around our homestead. Yep, can still hear you on camera too. Excellent stuff. George Evans, Mike, are you from Bristol? Yes. Okay, let's try desktop. That seems to be working, although it's on the wrong desktop, so let me change that. That should be on... Actually, no, that is right. Just normally I would have that minimized, so that's fine. USB HDMI, can you still hear me? This is now my other PC, so this is the Intel 13500 running on the new B760 platform, the Tomahawk Wi-Fi from MSI. Let me know in the chat if you can still hear me on the secondary output. Hopefully you can. Sound good. Oh God, not Shintel. Excellent stuff. So everything appears to be running as it should be. Little hello cough from Kath.
Hello.
Steve Larkin, I hear you. Good sound, Mike. Sounds okay. Sound good. Awesome. Let's go back to the main camera then. So, good evening. It is Mike here. Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. It is Saturday the 14th of January 2023. And first of all, I should say a massive happy birthday to our son George, who is 24 years young today. Makes me feel rather old, but still, he is 24. And yeah. Yeah. He is 24. And well done, George. He's a good lad. He's probably not watching the stream anyway. He's probably still watching Caradog and Graham. I had to think of the names then. When you get a little bit of a head cold, you feel muzzy in your head and the thoughts and stuff don't come out as they should do. So you will forgive me if this stream isn't up to par and if I say things wrong or get confused or whatever. It's, you know what it's like. When you've got a head cold, just everything's a little bit weird. Anyway, so yeah, thank you all for the birthday wishes for George. Bless his heart. Ugly Bob's put in a super chat. Happy birthday, George. And anybody else who has a birthday this weekend. Yeah, does anybody else have a birthday this weekend I should know about? There's another viewer of the channel, actually George's friend at high school and school, which was, what's his name? Harvey Linden, who was 24 yesterday. George Evans says, I'm George from Bristol too. Oh, good to see you, George. Hopefully you've got a PC that needs fixing, so you can join in our PC Fix or Fail episodes. That would be pretty good. Excellent. So everything seems to be working. That is an unusual thing. Yeah, I'm semi-working. I might have to get my neti pot out and do my nose halfway through this to clear out stuff. If you've never done it before, a neti pot is excellent. It's basically, you put like a saline solution of water and Himalayan rock salt, and you just basically pour it up your nose like this. Is this empty-ish? So you just stick it up your nose and it goes up through and comes out the other side. And it's actually quite refreshing.
Magic.
It's like, yeah, it is like magic. It works really well. So I'll probably be doing that later. Ugly Bob says that's waterboarding. Not quite, but yeah, it is pretty close. So, this week, apart from me having a little bit of a cold, has been a somewhat frustrating week, let's say. So, to keep you up to speed, previously I was using a Ryzen 7 5800X for my video editing rig, along with a B550 Gaming Plus Wi-Fi from MSI, which had been really running very well actually. And prior to that, I had a Ryzen 9 3900X, and it was very good, very pleasant experience. But because I use Adobe Premiere, there are some things with Adobe Premiere that it just does not like AMD products. AMD graphics cards it hates. It much prefers NVIDIA, and I think that's pretty much a universal thing in the industry. Don't get me wrong, I would love for AMD to come out with something actually competitive for both the gaming and also the productivity market, but it seems that there's a good reason why NVIDIA have like something like an 85% share of the graphics market, and that's because it's just, as much as I hate to say it, it just works, and it works pretty well. But I had been persevering with AMD for the longest time, and actually previously when we started the channel I was on an i7 2600K, so that worked actually really well. Then I went to a Ryzen 7 1700, and then through various iterations until we got to today. So this all started due to one of our Discord members, Kieran. You're to blame, Kieran. Hashtag blame Kieran. It started off with, he was trying to sell a motherboard because he was trying to basically get rid of some stuff that he wasn't using, etc. So there was a very, very cheap motherboard on offer, which was a Intel B760 platform, which I have here in my hands. If we go to the overhead, you can see this is the Asus Strix ROG gaming board. And this is the B660-A. And there's all kinds of weird names on it, which I do not understand. It's slightly gamery. It's actually got some bizarre stuff on it, actually. It says WASD there. It has a word there, which I'm not sure what that word even means. I don't think I can even pronounce it. Dravjica, I don't know. If you know what that says, please do let me know in the comments. I don't know. I have no idea. So anyway, this was the kind of the precursor to what has actually happened. So bought this motherboard off Kieran, arrived in the post, and potentially, we're not entirely sure, it may have sustained some damage in transit. He was using it, it was absolutely fine. I didn't have a processor, a 12th gen processor, in order to use this, and because on the back there is a BIOS flashback button, as you can see just there, the idea was to flash the BIOS and put a 13th gen CPU in there. And quickly I will say, oh, thank you, Stuart. That's very kind of you. If I can find my mouse. There is a €20 super chat from Stuart Cleary. He says, "Happy birthday, George." I'll have to pass that on to him. After YouTube have taken their cut, the swines. He deserves it, though. Let's wait for that to finish. Excuse me. Slightly dying here. Yeah, so anyway, back to the board. So I bought a new processor for this. I bought the Intel 13400F, which cost from, I believe it was Amazon, just slightly over £200 UK pounds, which I thought was a reasonable price. So got the processor, got the board, got it all fired up and ready to go, and it was a very weird experience. So this board has diagnostic DLEDs in this top corner. With the processor installed and the RAM, etc., it would basically, the CPU light would come on. Some of you have probably seen this actually from the short I did on it. So you turn on the power from the bottom here, it would go CPU, then extinguish, then go to DRAM, then extinguish. It would then fail to illuminate VGA or boot, and it would just stay there forever and a day. And the processor was getting slightly warm, there was some heat coming through it. So it wasn't a problem with the processor. I did actually flash the BIOS numerous times as well, just for those of you that are considering that may have been a problem, because I thought that myself. So I flashed the BIOS a few times, and I even tried it. So if I took out the processor, it would just stop on the CPU LED. If I installed the processor and removed the RAM, I would then get it stop on DRAM. But no matter what I did, it would not have it with the graphics card installed, which it did have to have because it was a 13400F, which doesn't have onboard integrated graphics. So I went through 2 or 3 different power supplies, various different RAM slots, reseated the processor numerous times, lots of different cables, you name it. Basically anything and everything I could try that was within my knowledge base, I tried. Obviously taking the CMOS battery out, trying it without a battery, all those kinds of usual things. Had a look around the board for any obvious signs of damage, which there basically isn't. There was a little bit of a dent in this heat sink at the top here. You can possibly just make out there's a very, very slight mark there, but I don't think that's going to have any bearing on it whatsoever. But something I did find later on, I did ask for help, and some of you kind people in the comments of the short video suggested that it might be the DisplayPort bug or the HDMI port bug. So I was using HDMI from the onboard as well, and the DisplayPort and on the graphics card. So I went through the usual things. I actually ordered another processor. I sent back the one because I figured it may be faulty. I've got no way of testing. It's unlikely, but it could be. So I actually went through and bought a Intel i5 13500, which is a slight step up in terms of performance and also has integrated graphics and additional efficiency cores. So that was the next thing. So we put it in there and basically exactly the same again. Went through all the usual stuff, plugged in HDMI, plugged in the DisplayPort, etc., and basically got kind of nothing at all other than the CPU LED light, the DRAM light, but the VGA and the boot lights just never ever illuminated or did anything sensible. Check the pins on the actual socket, and you can see I put a bit of tape over here because that was kind of falling off, but all the pins appear to be absolutely fine. Got my magnifying glass out and all the usual stuff just to make sure that I wasn't being a bit stupid and I damaged it. Reseated it numerous times, like I said, and eventually gave up. So this is still under warranty with CCL here in the UK. Unfortunately, CCL are dragging their heels somewhat with the RMA, so that is something which I am slightly concerned about, and especially because some of the people, well, somebody from CCL, or the company which owns CCL, has actually reached out to us to kind of work with us to see if there's any ways we can work together. Now, depending on how this RMA goes, that may or may not scupper, sorry, headphone users, that may well scupper the chance for us to work with CCL. Now, don't get me wrong, I buy a lot of stuff from CCL, especially some of their refurbished stuff or the clearance items. So I'm not saying don't buy from CCL, but what I am saying is at the moment, they appear to be dragging their feet with RMAs. We did the live chat, went through, and I actually got a printout or a transcript of the entire conversation. So yeah, the kind of the ball's in their court at the moment with that. So we're waiting for the RMA confirmation. I think we started this Thursday or Friday. I'm not entirely sure. Thursday or Friday anyway. So it's the weekend, etc. So hopefully we'll get a response from them next week. Get the board sent back. Let them verify whether there's a problem with the board. But in the meantime, obviously I had my 13500 and I was desperate to try it. So.
Did you have an issue of CCL a year or two ago? Was that one that didn't have any customer service?
There is. I have had a couple of, not issues, well I suppose, yeah, you could call them issues. I do tend to forget what I've done and who I've done it with, because we order and get through a lot of components. So
don't return very many.
In fairness, there's very few returns. I think CCL, previously I had to return a gigabyte board, which we made a video on. That was about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago now. I think, was there something I got a case that there was something wrong with it? I can't remember. Anyway, so that was that. So I ended up going for a another motherboard, which is, which I'm going to have to try and find the box for now. It is that one there. Let's see if I can pull this out without destroying everything.
Richard thinks it was a broken case tonight. Was it mine with the broken fan?
It might have been. Yeah, I do seem to remember there was something about a broken case fan. I do remember the Lianli 215 we had to return. Yeah, it might have been your case actually. One of the fans was noisy, wasn't it? Something like that. Yeah. Anyway, so that is what I ended up buying as a interim replacement until we can get the other one sorted. And there is the processor box, just so that you know I have actually bought it. It's not magically appeared. And I'm not making it up. So motherboard wise went with, this was a big mistake, it genuinely was. Obviously, actually I should say as well, with Kieran, even though I did buy it off him on the Discord and he sent it across, what he did was he felt really bad about it and said, look, I'll give you your money back. And like, just whatever. So I said, well, what we'll do is, because it's under warranty, we'll go through the warranty process, see what CCL do. If they turn around and replace the board or repair it or refurbish it or whatever, then obviously I'll send Kieran the money back, and the deal is if it never happens. So to be honest with you, probably could have kept hold of the money. It's a bit pointless really, but it is a great gesture. So Kieran, if you're watching, thank you very much. Much appreciated. You didn't need to do that, but yeah, the fact that you have done, and the fact that you've assisted with the RMA process is even better. And actually that is something I should say as well for those of you that are new here. If you've not joined our Discord already, seriously, it is a fantastic Discord. We've had a few people here and there who've been a little bit iffy, but I feel we've pretty much weeded that out now in its entirety. So yeah, it's a really cool place where a lot of like-minded people, and actually a really, really wide demographic as well. So we've got some kind of 13, 14-year-olds, which obviously is okay with Discord, but whatever. And also we've got some elderly folk as well, like myself. So if you're a little bit concerned, or maybe you're thinking, well, I don't want to go on Discord, it's going to be full of kids, don't worry. Our Discord is very cool and a very wide range of age users on there. So you're going to find somewhere on them. And actually, even if you're watching this and you're in another country, some of the people are on there from other countries as well. So we've got a loner who's on there. He's from the United States and he's on there pretty much all the time. So he is our official greeter. So if you're outside of UK time and you come in US time, then he'll be on there to say hello and to welcome you, etc. There's £20 from Ugly Bob. Thank you, Bob. You didn't need to do that. Towards a new board if needed. Marshmallow Cookie is a star. He is, I agree, very much so. And I haven't told him this, and I don't think he's in the chat either, so he probably won't know this, but if CCL sort out and send the board back, I'm actually going to give him his money back and a bonus as well for helping it out. So, but don't tell him I said that. That'll be a surprise. And also, I mean, he should have watched the bloody stream. Anyway,
Matthew Day says, does reselling it scupper the warranty though, but you haven't resold it, has he?
Technically, he hasn't resold it. So that is part and parcel of why the refund is useful, because technically he hasn't sold it. It's still within his ownership, and he is the original owner of the warranty. So in effect, I have been the guardian of the board temporarily whilst doing some diagnostics, let's say. And actually it's really good. The fact that we've done the diagnostics, I actually sent some MP4 files to Kieran to send on to CCL to say, look, this is what we're experiencing. So yeah, it's hopefully it's going to work out well. But I was thinking about this today actually. Once I was getting the stream ready, I was thinking I've actually made a really, really big mistake here. Because if they do fix the board and it comes back, I've got another, basically a 60 series chipset. So there'll be no Intel overclocking for me whatsoever, which is a real shame. Anyway, so this is the board I purchased. This was ridiculously expensive for what it is. I would wholeheartedly recommend, unless you've got a real fetish for Intel, stick with AM4. AM4 for 99% of all users is the way forward. And I'm going to say that straight away. Now there are some benefits of the new Intel 13th gen. They are more limited towards kind of efficiency and content creation, because those extra efficiency cores, which actually do seem to help. And obviously, because the integrated graphics on there, you can enable quick sync, so you can use your graphics card and also the integrated GPU, which is otherwise sat there doing sweet FA. So yeah, it does make sense. This board, the MSI B760 Tomahawk Wifi DDR4, cost me somewhere in the region of £230, which I genuinely felt like crying. Actually, Kath will validate that. When I was going through this actual torment of not working, I'd already spent 200 quid on a processor, which I then had to send back because I thought it was faulty. I then bought this one, which was another another 235 pounds, plus another 230 quid for the motherboard. So I'm about 500 quid in, and at this point I don't have a working system, which was quite upsetting. What's that? The thing in the background? Has anyone noticed that in the background?
Ugly Bob's just sent it.
Arnold Vosloo, the Mummy. Somebody, I'm not going to mention any names, but somebody sent me this in the post as a drinks coaster. So, thanks. Arnold, if you're watching, love your work. Right, let's clear that off. So, locked processor, locked motherboard, not even a additional chip on there to allow you to change the B clock or base clock, which is something which MSI have done on their B760 Mortar Max. But the Mortar Max costs £70 more than the standard mortar. So in order to get B clock or base clock overclocking, you have to spend £70 more to basically make your processor as fast as the next processor up the chain, which is £300 anyway. So you go from £250 to £300, so you might as well just buy the damn processor rather than fanning around with the motherboard. I wish they'd done it on here. There doesn't appear to be a chip on here to allow that overclocking, which is a real shame. I'd have loved to do that. And actually I have experimented with some very moderate tweaks to the system, trying to see what I can actually get out of this thing. And I'll be honest with you, it doesn't seem to make a blind bit of difference what you do in the BIOS. It kind of scores exactly the same. Now when it comes to Cinebench, with this particular processor, I was scoring around about 21,000 points, which actually is pretty good. Considering this is a locked processor, it only boosts up to, I think it's 4.5 on all cores when it's running Cinebench. Well, it's actually 4489, but it's 4.5 for argument's sake. So you've got 6 cores, which are performance cores. You've also got hyper-threading, so each one of those cores has an additional thread, so 12 threads. You also got 8 efficiency cores. Those aren't hyper-threaded, and so basically you've got 20 cores in total. So 12 performance cores and 8 efficiency cores. Whether or not it's worth £230 is debatable. Compared with my previous processor, the Ryzen 7 5800X, that scores somewhere in the region about 1700 points in Cinebench. So there is a kind of a noticeable gap between them. But in reality, actually using it in gaming, etc., I'm at the moment literally only got it up and running yesterday. So in games, it's kind of, is there a difference? I did notice Wreckfest did seem to be smoother. Whether it was just me or not, I don't know. And I should as well put a caveat in here that I didn't do a fresh install of Windows, which I did intend to do, but I put it all in there. I uninstalled the AMD drivers before I turned the PC off, and basically it went in, I installed the chipset drivers, all that kind of stuff. Something on this motherboard which is absolutely magical and I love, which I didn't think I'd ever say this. For those of you who've got an ASUS board, you know when you go in and it says, do you want to install Armoury Crate? It's a bad thing, generally, you don't want to do that. But with MSI, they've actually taken that and tweaked it a little bit further. So rather than saying, do you want to install MSI Center, which I don't think it actually does, but it does pop up saying, do you want to install the latest drivers for your motherboard? Which is an excellent addition. Why don't manufacturers all do that? Hopefully that's something we're going to see going forward, but it's really nice. Little MSI pop-up. You can control that in the BIOS, so you can turn that on or off like you can with Armoury Crate. But yeah, just come up, nice little window, give you a list of all the drivers that your system required, and it also tells you which is installed currently, what is available online, and what all that kind of stuff, whether it's installed, whether it's not, whether it needs updating, all those kinds of things. And ticked it through. Obviously didn't include Norton 360, which is what they always tried to install, but yeah, didn't do that. And yeah, it just worked really, really well. So I didn't have to go hunting around on MSI's site looking for drivers. Absolutely top notch. 100% hats off to MSI. It is an absolutely flawless experience. Actually, it seemed better than having to install MSI Center, then going through and doing updates, etc. So you don't have to install MSI Center if you don't want to. Now I chose to because I do like using it, but you don't have to. So that is pretty cool. Other cool things about the board, which I should get out of the way as well, it has got 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, which is almost a requirement for me these days because of the NAS and transferring files for video editing, etc. It's amazing how much difference that makes transferring files. At the end of the day, when I'm doing my backups and when I'm doing like ditching my old footage from my PC desktop to the NAS because I don't need it anymore, the difference between sending files at 260 megabytes per second and 110 megabytes per second, it makes a difference, especially when you're waiting to go to bed. So definitely the 2.5 gigabit is excellent. It's also got Bluetooth on here, so you've got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. It's got the Intel Killer Wi-Fi 6E, so latest and greatest in terms of Wi-Fi, and also Bluetooth 5.3, which apparently adds some new things to the mix, which I don't even know. I'd not heard of it before, but apparently this has got Bluetooth 5.3. You've got 20 gigabit per second USB Type-C ports on there. You've got 4 USB 10 gig ports on the back, Type A's, and you've also got an additional 4 Type USB 2 point whatever it is, basically USB 2 points, but you've got 4 of those at the top. There's no keyboard or mouse ports on this anymore, so they've taken those away, which I'm very pleased to see. I don't think anyone uses a PS2 keyboard and mouse these days, so that's good. What else have we got? We've got heat sinks over basically all of the M.2 slots. You've got PCI Express Gen 5 for the graphics card slot. I don't think I've got PCI Express Gen 5 for the top M.2. I'm pretty sure that's PCI Express Gen 4 times 4, as are the 2 slots on the bottom as well, which actually I'll try and show you a better picture of it if I can on the overhead. So there we go, there is the box, and that is the features. Hopefully you can just about see that. So it's not a bad looking board, to be honest with you. I'd love to show you a bit better, but it's actually in my PC. There is a video going to be coming out very shortly on that, unboxing, going through all the ports, etc. Again, realistically, for what it costs, 240 quid, motherboards have just got ridiculous. And you get absolutely nothing inside it, really. You don't even get a user manual, which is ridiculous. But anyway, here's what it is. So that is the motherboard. I wish now I'd have bought a Z790, but they're ridiculously expensive again. So it's kind of, if this board comes back after being repaired, I've then got to think, right, what processor do I put on this board? I don't know. I really don't know. It will probably be a 12th gen if I can pick one up cheaply. If not, maybe a 13100. That is actually a stunning little processor for gaming. Anyway, so Intel LJ1700, 13500 comes with a stock cooler. Stock cooler is actually not too bad, and I actually did run it very shortly with the stock cooler, but I had to eventually give in because I'm not an absolute sadist. So I have installed. I did panic actually, because this is the cooler that I use on a daily basis in my video editing rig. No water cooling because it's a video editing rig and we don't want things like that happening. So I've been using this Fortis 5 ARGB. This is a cracking cooler. It really is. Keeps the 5800X under control and basically does the same now. Temperature wise, the new i5 series is a very, very mixed bag. A ridiculously mixed bag. And in fact, actually, if I get up on the screen, let me do that for you now. So look at the, where are we, desktop? No, not over, oh, on that one. USB 3. So hopefully you can see that. Now I'm going to try and point out certain aspects of this. Grab my mouse. So hopefully you can just about make this out. If you can, I'll try and point some things out. So currently our CPU temperature on my other PC is 21 Celsius. This room, for reference sake, is currently 21 Celsius. So it's basically running at room temperature, and it has been slightly less, which is insane. The maximum the CPU has currently been running at, I'm just checking, this is CPU, isn't it? Yeah. So 30 degrees. So this is just idling. And you can see, look at the fan speeds. 670 RPM for the CPU cooler. The system fans are all round about their lowest points there, like 600 RPM. It runs very cool. We've got our package temperatures there, which are a little bit higher. But you can see the E-cores, maximum temperature for the E-cores at the moment has been 19 degrees Celsius. So that's running under ambient. So it's doing really well. And something which is really impressive, I think, is the package idle temperature, idle wattages. So currently, the processor is using, on average, somewhere between kind of, well, nothing and about 5 to 7 watts just idling. And you can see the cores all ramped right down. The efficiency cores actually stayed pretty much pegged at 3.5 gigahertz or 3,491 megahertz. But the performance cores basically go to sleep. They pop up every now and then, but you can see it just, this is all real time. The system isn't doing a great deal. I've got Discord open. I've got my, what have I got? I've got emails open and stuff like that. So I'm going to run a quick Cinebench so you can see what happens when you run Cinebench, because that is when things do change a little. So Cinebench. Now this is actually, I'm running my PC as a multi-monitor at the moment. So I'm going to have to drag that across so you guys can see it. There we go, so there's Cinebench. And what I'm doing, this is what I would normally do when I'm doing kind of benchmarking and stuff like that myself here at home. So let's see if we can make that a little bit smaller. Don't think I can. Like maximize or minimize. So I'm just going to run the just a basic standard multi-core test to begin with. And you can see we've got our results down here, so let's make that a bit bigger. We'll probably stretch this up a little bit actually. There we go, and we'll click on start. And we'll run that over the top. So now you can keep an eye on the actual temperatures, and you'll see the CPU core temp is going to ramp up massively. So we're at 64 degrees already, 69 degrees, nice, 70, and it's just going to keep on climbing and climbing. It does like to draw power, and as you can see at the moment, we're somewhere in the region, it does bounce around a little bit, but it's around about 150 watts, although it did peak at 165. I have manually set a cap on that in the BIOS to 165 watts, just to keep the temperatures a little bit more under control. But having said that, we're in the mid 70s, and yeah, there we go. That is pretty much what I would expect with the system running, with all the bits running. So 20,000 points, 151. So if you take that into comparison with a Threadripper, basically leaves the Threadripper in the dust somewhat. The Threadripper 1950, quite old now, but gets roughly the same sort of score as my previous 5800X. My 3900X scored around about 18,000 points, so we're about 2,000 points up. Now obviously this isn't the be all and end all and doesn't make a great deal of difference in the grand scheme of things, but I just wanted to show you what the temperatures are like. So we hit 76 degrees Celsius. If I leave this running for like a 5-minute loop, which I'm actually going to do, I'll do a 5-minute loop and we'll hit start. We'll get that in front, so let that just carry on running, and we'll come back and take a look at the score shortly and see how it does. I'm expecting it to hit 81 degrees. That is what I'm likely to see, that sort of thing. Okay. And there we go. We should be back on the main camera, hopefully. Is it working?
Say hello, really. You've done an hour non-stop.
Oh yeah, sorry, I have done an hour non-stop. I should say hello to those of you that are in the chat. So let's have a quick hello to everybody. Oh God, there's a hell of a scroll there. So Ugly Bob, we've got with us. Oh, actually, live chat, or yeah, live chat. That's right. Yeah. Oh God, that's broken. So Ugly Bob, James Brock, Matthew Day. So did reselling it scupper the warranty though? Yeah, I'm not too sure. We won't tell anyone about that. David Thompson, how you doing? Dutch Jan. You're a young man, Mike. Don't feel so young. Stuart Cleary. James Brock. Says, you never know, I may join someday. Dutch Jan says, I am old. I am old also. William Bode's with us. SC, how you doing, SC? Oh, and thanks for the email you sent the other day. I'm trying to think exactly what it was about, but I think it was an important one, so thank you. David Aiken's with us. How you doing, Dave? Good to see you. Lucky Man as well. How you doing, Lucky Man? Stuart Cleary said that. Aletta, how you doing, Aletta? Chris Hartford. Chris Hartford says, could have gone AM5 at those prices. That is my... Yeah, that is my consideration. I was looking today. The 7600X, I think, is about 220. And the motherboards to go with it are that I would like to use are around about the sort of 200, 250 price. So it's basically the same price, although then I'd have to factor in DDR5, which at the moment I've got a lot of DDR4. So unless somebody wants to send me some DDR5 for review, there's not really much point me buying it. And also taking that into consideration, if you do a Cinebench or any testing on a 7600X, I'm pretty sure the 13500 is going to leave it for dust. So it was kind of, do I, don't I? I am still considering AM5 as a platform, but at the moment, I just cannot see where it fits in. It definitely doesn't fit in any form of budget stuff. And in terms of high-end stuff, like for productivity stuff, AM5 basically doesn't have the stability or the reliability at the moment where I could confidently say, right, I'm going to spend a load of money, put a load of money on an AM5 platform and video edit on it. Whereas at least with this, I know that the 13th gen is basically an enhanced version of the 12th gen, which has been on the market for a year or more. It's refined, so it's the better version of the 12th gen. Yes, it's not very cheap, but also then we've got things like Intel compatibility. For me, Premiere, Photoshop, all those things run very, very well on Intel hardware. And it's one of those things, do you ever hear anyone who does PC stuff for a living, do you ever hear anyone saying, I regret buying Intel? It's a very, very rare thing that happens. On the flip side, as much as I love using AMD because it was the kind of the performance bargaining version, but there's always those things that AMD drivers are not always the best. I've noticed recently AMD have done something weird with the drivers so that the chipset drivers are now separate standalone, whereas they're not part of that unified driver. Whether that's because AM5 has basically broken that setup, I don't know, but I think it's something to definitely bear in mind. So I think at the moment, AMD, if you're going AM4, it's fine. It's a known quantity, it's a working platform, and actually you can get some pretty decent bargains there. But with AM5, I think it's still kind of buyer beware at the moment. I don't know, let me know what you think in the comments.
Nick Barnes asks, what temps would the PC reach if no power limits and effect on Cinebench score?
I have done that testing. Basically, with the limits completely removed from the board, which is basically how it's been anyway, I maxed out, I think, 81 degrees, maybe 82 degrees Celsius. And the Cinebench score was basically the same. I think there was maybe 100 points in it. It was very, very similar. So you'll see in the video when I do the review for the 13500 that essentially it doesn't really matter what you do to it. It does perform roughly the same all the time because of the motherboard, primarily because there's no real options to change anything. So you can change power limits, which will stop the processor kind of just blasting ahead and using as much wattage as possible. So all you're able to do really is to bring your wattage down very slightly. And also I have undervolted it, but the same, it makes no difference at all. It has brought the temperature down maybe 1 or 2 degrees within margin of error, but it does use a little bit less electricity, but not a great deal. I don't even know if the settings have stuck. It doesn't appear to be, it just does the same thing all the time. Anyway, right, that is just finished. So let's quickly head over to the screen. And what do we get to? 79 degrees Celsius was our maximum. And you can see, even though the test is just finished running, we're still down, well, yeah, 24 degrees Celsius, and the fans are all down to 600 RPM. So actually, if anyone out there at the moment is running an AM4 system, especially a multi-core one, like an 8-core or 12-core version, could you run Cinebench for me? Or open up Hardware Monitor and see what your idle wattage is? Because this thing seems to get down to like laptop kind of wattage. So the package at the moment is like 3.5 watts there. It does pop up every now and then because the cores are still bouncing around a little bit, but it's generally around about 5 watts, which for idling for a processor, 5 watts seems mental. But I've not checked what my old one was. Anyway, let's go back to the thing. Oh, thanks, Gav. So also hello to Ricardo. Ricardo says been in the dark side for 2 years. Intel and Nvidia, 0 problems so far. Had installed Windows 10 and 11 Pro. Old Man Withers says it's been a solid chip so far. The B760M Pro was 160, much cheaper than the Tomahawk. I was considering a micro ATX board, but I don't know what it is. There's something about putting a micro ATX board in a full-size case which just really triggers me insanely. It shouldn't do.
Even though it's shut in a cupboard.
Yeah, even though it's basically shut away in a cupboard and I can't see it. But I would know. Omar says hello. How you doing, Omar? Good to see you. Where else we got? James Brock, Mark Berry. I'm going to stick with AMD and B450. Probably swap out the 3400G for 5600 as I have a RX 570 now. Sounds like a good plan. So James Brock said SC Aletta. Ivory Wolfman, how you doing? I'm going with a 5900X paired with a 6900 XT, all going well. Yeah, that is a pretty awesome combo. As long as your 6900 XT does not start cracking. Because we've seen that. Some weird thing, some repair shop basically had an absolute ton of 6800 and 6900 XTs which were just basically cracking. Which is very strange. Ricardo, AMD became very expensive, like MJ said in Spider-Man. If you expect disappointment, then you can never be really disappointed. That is true. James Brock, when Mike is done carrying on, I will ask him of his opinion on the 7900 XT versus the 6950 XT. To be honest with you, the high-end AMD cards, they're so far out of my kind of peripheral vision because of the fact that they don't work very well with some of the stuff that I want to use them with, such as video editing work, which is where I see a lot of my graphics cards being optimized. Yeah, I don't know. I'd need to sit down and look at the prices. I would probably go with the 6950 XT and save the money, personally. I don't see any real advantage of the 7900 XT or the XTX for that matter. It just seems like a lot of money for, again, a very unproven bit of hardware. Same as AM5.
James said thanks for answering.
No worries, James. Glenn's with us. Is it even all? How you doing, James? Glenn? Told you, brain's gone. William Bodie saying that the MSI Mag B660M Bazooka looks good. Rick H says, I know a 12 gen Celeron G6900. Actually, I should say as well, where have I put it? Oh God, where have I put it? Oh, there it is. I'm pretty sure it was Rick who sent this. This is the mounting plate for use with, so Thermalright do a mounting plate for the LJ 1700. I will be using that, but I'm not going to do it yet because I want to see what my base temperatures are like on the system. Like I said, I've only started doing it on Friday, so I didn't want to stick it straight in because I want to see if it makes much difference on our platform. I'm sure it will do. And again, thank you for sending that. Actually, that's going to look really cool because the Tomahawk is kind of black and white as well, very much like that frame. So thank you for sending that. Oh, I'll put it there. I'll put it next to Arnold.
Twins.
Ricardo says, good temps. It is, when it's idling, it's ridiculous. It's so... Oh, I can't see it now, it's gone, isn't it? Matthew Day says, idling on the E-cores. It does seem to be. It does seem to do very well. The temperatures do look good. Alessa says it's -7 and cloudy here in Ohio. -7. I think we've got a cold snap headed this way.
We were spraying yesterday.
Ricardo says I'm going to have to change my thermal paste. My i5 10400 is now 33 degrees. That's not too bad. Alessa says, from everything I've heard, I wouldn't mind having a 13900K. I wouldn't mind a 13700K. And I'm kind of almost gutted that I didn't buy one. But then that is another massive step up in price. But you never know.
Rick says with the cooler on you won't see the plate.
Oh, that's a good point. Well, where did I get to? James Brock says freaking aluminium prices are getting out of control. Yeah, silver is as well. Silver's gone mad. Wild Bill's with us. How you doing, Wild Bill? Matthew Day says AMD prices dropped a little for the non-X versions. They have a little bit. I'm still kind of and ahhing. I've got two systems in the front room which I'm waiting to sell because I'm getting to the point where it's like box central again. We seem to go through fits and starts where there's kind of nothing here and it's a bit empty, and then it's like, oh my god, there's stuff everywhere. We've got to that point again. But it's the wrong time of the month to be selling PCs.
And cats.
Yeah, and we've got 4 cats as well, which like to sit here every day. Al Neo says, hi everyone. First time here, looks like a good channel. Be prepared to be disappointed, my friend. Where else are we? Nick Bars, who said hello to. Ricardo. No regrets. Kieran's with us. How you doing, Kira? Still heard nothing from CCL, so I'm going to call them Monday. Mate, don't bust a gut over it. When they're ready, when they're gonna do it, they'll do it.
Oh, Aletta, it's not a good channel. It's a great channel.
Oh, thank you, Aletta. Where are we? So I'm losing my train of thought there. William Bodie says, where I work, a Coca-Cola half litre did go up to $3.91 US. $4 for half a litre of Coke. What the actual frick? Man, prices are going mad. Shrek says, how does your processor do with 4x 3600 sticks? Locked 12th gen is known to struggle with more than 2 single rank 3600 sticks. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. In that rig that is running, I've currently got it with my V-Color DDR4, which is the 4 sticks, but it's 2 of them are dummy sticks for LED lighting. And that is running at the moment at DDR4 4266. And it was amazing. I just clicked on XMP and it went, okay, I can do that. And it just did it. It's the first board I've actually owned where I've put it to 4266 and it's actually just worked and been stable. Previously, I think I had to downclock it to 4133 or was it 4000 or something. There is an XMP 4000 setting in the RAM. But yeah, some of my AMD boards didn't like that 4266 at all. But that seems to love it.
Ugly Bob's been a member for 16 months.
Blimey.
Thank you.
16 months, Bob. You would have been, if you'd have committed a crime, you might have been on parole by now. Simon Arden's with us. How you doing, Simon? Good to see you in the chat. Paul Lamont also says evening all. Firestorm says I'm at 26 watts on my 12700K. It's still pretty respectable. Wild Bill says plus or minus 45 watts. Thank you. Chris says I impulse bought a 5900 CX we're doing for 250 quid, so definitely staying on AM4 for a while. Yeah, I think I saw that posted actually on somewhere. Can't remember where I saw it, but yeah, that is a cracking price. 250 quid for a 5900X. Shrek says AM4 is known to have really bad idle power consumption, which I think is another one of those tipping points, because my PC is literally on from the moment I get out of bed, come downstairs, till literally the moment I go to sleep, because it's on as much as I'm awake, basically. So if I can save, so what's that? Say, argument 10 watts against, say, 40 to 50 watts from my other system. So that's 40 watts I'm saving every hour, kilowatt hours. So there's definitely going to be some saving in there. Although on the flip side, when I'm rendering, I'm probably using about 10 to 20 watts more. But I'm going to be rendering for a shorter time. So there should be some definite tangible savings for energy. And the thing I like the most about it is the temperature. The fact that it's basically idling at room temperature is brilliant, because that means that it's not using electricity unnecessarily. It's not heating the room. And funny enough, it does seem cooler in here today, doesn't it? Do you notice that?
No.
Okay. Kath didn't
I
notice it.
felt quite warm today.
I feel a bit warm because I've got this cold and yeah, my head's getting a bit hot now.
We haven't long lit the fire, have we? Because it's not been that cold.
Um,
I've mixed it down a bit. It's getting a bit.
Actually, let's move this out of the way. Don't need that there anymore, do I? So, Pete Unwin's with us. How you doing, Pete? Firestorm says I need to try one of them. What's that, Coca-Cola or Intel 13th gen? Oh God, where have I gone? Let's fast forward too much there. There we go. James Brock, why is it that a lot of AMD CPU users seem to spend a lot of the time and resources, pounds, constantly upgrading their CPUs? Is there really that much gain for the added price? No, I don't think there is, to be honest with you. I would say with Intel and AMD, if you've got to a certain point, like if it wasn't for the fact that I had this channel and I am doing video editing a lot, there would be no reason for me to upgrade my system for the last 3 years. Maybe the graphics card for games, but the system itself, my 3900X, well, it's still running in the PC behind me, and it was still probably running that one if I wanted it to, but yeah, there isn't really any real meaningful thing to say, yes, you should upgrade. I think it's just because the upgrade cycles now for processors, like launch cycles, like every year there's a new processor on AMD and Intel. And it's always kind of like the YouTube mentality and the marketing mentality is like, oh, this is the latest and greatest, this is what you want. You really don't.
You might want, you don't need.
Yeah, you might want it, but you don't need it. If you've got the money and you like your hobby and you like spending money on bits and you like upgrading and you'd rather do that than go down the pub and get wrecked, feel free, knock yourselves out. But you don't have to do it, you really don't. And more times than not, it is kind of pointless for the time and effort and the money. Like if you're one of these people, like maybe you're a youngster and you're saving your money from your job and you're putting money aside, when you actually come to do your upgrade, you're probably going to be quite disappointed. You'll have your new shiny system and it'll feel faster anyway because you'll probably do a fresh install. But there isn't really a massive upgrade, or it doesn't feel a massive upgrade. Yes, Kath.
RK says, why didn't you get ASRock H670 Pro RS for £134?
I don't think I could run an ASRock board myself on a daily basis. That is the honest truth of it. I do so much tweaking and messing around my system. I despise ASRock's RGB implementation, and their fan control software is hideous. Now, I know I can use other third-party software to control both of those things, but I don't want to. ASRock boards, for me, since B450 Steel Legend, I feel they've gone downhill pretty rapidly. But having said that, what board was that you just said there? I'm going to have to fast forward now, aren't I, to find it. RK high. I can't see where that is now.
Why didn't you get ASRock H670 Pro RS?
H670 Pro RS. Yeah, that's a very good question. If I could find it over here and it was a reasonable price.
Pounds, so
Was it £130?
£134.
Is that a micro ATX or a full size? I can't see it now. Oh yeah, okay. Okay, why didn't you get ASRock H670 Pro RS? Yeah, that is a... I'm going to have to look at that in a minute, because that might be the answer to my prayers. It won't be, but I'm going to look. Scan.co.uk, let's try there. 100. Oh, it's a micro ATX board. I'm not keen on micro ATX, like I said earlier, but it does seem to be pretty decent. Gigabit LAN, a little bit of downside. For the money that you're saving there, it is a viable option, I think. It does look like a pretty minimal VRM though. Does it? H670, that, what overclocking does that give you? Does it give you any? I'm going to have to have a look now. I'm not very up on my Intel chipsets, I'll be completely honest with you. Yeah, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 phase VRM. I know, 7 phase VRM. So yeah, 7 phase VRM is going to be pretty weak. Bear in mind the one I've just put in there, which is a low end board, that's got 12 plus 1 phase. So you're not really going to do much overclocking, and you might even be throttling on that. I'm tempted to actually to try. Well, oh, it's pre-order.
1C Max Turbo.
1C Max Turbo. Apparently OC to what? OC to... Maybe I will put that on the list. I won't. Calf will. Calf, put it on the list. At the moment it says it's pre-order here from scan.co.uk. But I will keep it on the peripheral. Let's see if anyone else has actually got it. CCL, no. ASRock. Someone's already selling one on eBay. Used. That's a worrying sign. If it's on pre-order, someone's selling it already.
Hector the Hector.
Definitely, I'll look into that anyway. I will look into that.
Is this the max version which you can't overclock it?
Is which one?
Ask Hector the...
Hector. Yeah, this one that I've got is... that one won't do it, I'm sure. And the B760 doesn't appear to have the separate timing clock chip thing. It's not a maxed version anyway. I am quite gutted that I can't do any real tweaking to the system. That is definitely unfortunate. But it's a locked processor anyway. It still performs well out the box. Maybe it's just taking away another one of those things which I would play with and probably break.
Matthew Day says Asus Prime H670 plus Amazon one left.
Oh. Amazon, Asus, right, let's have a look. Thank you, Matthew Day. I don't know if I want another Asus board. I've had it up to here with Asus boards. Where is it? Amazon.co.uk. One left. How much is that? £133. One in D4. Oh, from Amazon US. It's not too bad though. You still get it. Wouldn't want to send it back though. So what has that got on it? I'm gonna have to see. What does the H6? Yeah, it is H670. What does H670 actually let you do then over the 650? Is that basically overclocking as well?
H670 still Legend is much better than Pro RS.
Thank you, Shrek. Shrek says Asus Prime H670 and B760 have weak VRMs. Z690 Micro ATX is much better.
It's cut down Z690.
Right, but what is cut down? If it's just the VRMs and stuff, then that could be alright. Lucky Man 1 says MSI motherboards rule at the end of the day. Right on. Actually, saying that, MSI in the UK have actually, they've taken all of their promo stuff in-house. So we've got a new contact with MSI in the UK for review stuff. So hopefully we should get some cool stuff coming through. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
The cut down is overclocked.
The cut down is, oh what, you can't overclock. James Brock says, oh Mike, give Asus some of that MSI love you have. I've got, where is it? I've got, that's some Asus love, which caused me lots of tears over the years. What else have I got? Oh, I got.
It's just voltages.
Yeah. Okay. What, you can't tweak voltages, or you can tweak voltages? This is another Asus board here. There's the old Strix Aruni. That's the Z590, I think. Yeah, Z590 Strix Gaming.
Yes, you can tweak.
That is the ROG Strix Z590F Gaming, which I'm still yet to use, with a 11400. Which I can't wait to use actually, but I've got to get rid of those other systems before I start doing any more. And especially being that it's coming up to the end of, well, the financial year is ending soon. So it could all go very badly wrong when it comes to tax return time. So I have got some Asus boards here. In fact, I've got more Asus boards than, actually, what else have I got there? A gigabyte board. And in fairness, I've got an ASRock board in the other room, in one of the PCs, which is ready to go. Which was the, where is it actually? What was the other B550 I did? Oh yeah, the B550 Phantom Gaming Pro 4 thing. PG4. So I've got a bit of everything here at the moment. Okay, so I'm gonna, is this on my PC? No, I'm not signed in, am I? I'm tempted to get that. No, I don't. I'm not gonna get another board. I'm not getting another board. No more motherboards. Wild Bill says, why buy any other motherboard when you can buy MSI? I am tempted to agree with you. That was one of my stipulations for my PC, because I've got my MSI keyboard, MSI mouse, MSI headset. It was like, I kind of got to have an MSI board really. And as much as I do regret it very slightly, overall I'm happy. If I was building a new PC and the amount of money I had to build it was specific, I probably would have bought what I bought, to be fair. I would have been looking maybe AM4 but I think to get the level of performance that I would have wanted to get a 5900X and a motherboard for under £500 or 460 something pounds, I think would have been a real struggle, unless you can pick up a used bargain. So don't forget, this has all been bought brand new, and I still think for 230 odd pounds, the i5 13500 is a cracking processor, and I'm very, very impressed with the efficiency stuff on it. As much as I hate all that kind of hippie stuff, it's not hippie stuff, but you know what I'm trying to say. I don't go in for all the hype for the kind of energy saving and stuff. It's like, use energy that you need to use. Obviously, don't use it in abundance if you don't have to. But when there is actually a tangible saving and your PC doesn't light on fire when you're doing stuff, it does kind of make sense. And the fact that it is, even though it is only a £230 chip-ish, this is still the fastest processor in the house at the moment. Which is actually saying something, considering like 3900, 5800, they're both cracking chips, but this basically kills them both off and does it arguably using less power, at least on average. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Mike P. Well, Bill, all motherboard manufacturers have their good and bad boards. Yes, I would totally agree with that. Some MSI boards have been absolute trash. The B550M Pro VDH Wi-Fi, which is actually one of the most popular boards they've ever done, along with the Tomahawk and the mortars, etc. That has a shockingly bad reputation for longevity or reliability. So yeah, there's. I was lucky that I had 2 of them. Both were absolutely fine. Yeah, other people have had them and they've had loads and loads of problems with them. So I guess I would be quite lucky. Abdullah F. Cheater, sorry if I've pronounced that incorrectly. Question, do you recommend i5 2600K without OC over i5 13500? That was my kind of thing. Do I go for a 12? From what I can tell, the 13500 is basically a 12600K in disguise. With, I think it's got more efficiency cores. I could be wrong with that. But from what I can tell, it performs basically the same as a 12600, if not marginally better in some places, because of the actual efficiency. So if you think that this, well, Intel have said that there's roughly about a 20% uplift in performance generationally. So if you look at between most processors, it's hard to actually get 20% difference between them. So you could probably find this competing with maybe a 12700 non-K in some respects. It seems to beat the 7700X from AM5, and it seems to beat or exceed the 5800. So yeah, it's a difficult one. It's a tough one. I had the same choice, but I thought, sod it, I'll go with the newer technology, which is roughly a little bit cheaper as well.
Did you do ab demo?
That's what I was just doing then, yeah.
Cool. I got a bit behind.
Hugh Luttrell, hi all, sleeping through the stream. I saw you were talking about power usage, so I downloaded hardware info. 7700X, 38 watt at 57 degrees, 50C at idle. I have about 3 hours on it now. See, that's quite a lot. Well, it's not a lot of wattage, but that amount of heat, nearly 60 degrees Celsius at idle. I know it's within spec and it's not a dangerous thing, but it just seems weird. I don't like it. I like the old AMD FX processors. They were great because they would run. You could get them to run at like 10 degrees Celsius because they just reported very, very badly. James Brock says, who buys EVGA motherboards? I don't think we actually even have them over in the UK. They're very, I've never physically seen one. Irie Wolfman says, at Mike, Fantex NV7, N60H9, Light 60, which do you prefer? Oh, Lianli. I don't know actually. I quite like the NZXT H9. I quite like the look of, but I think it's a bit too big. The Lanley 0111, I think it's that classic thing. It kind of did it first and did it, well, maybe not did it first, but it did it probably the best. So, I don't know, the Height 60 looks quite interesting. Be interested to see what that comes out like, price-wise, etc. Domas says, evening all, are we going blue now? We have gone blue. Not due to lack of oxygen or anything like that, purely because it's bloody Kieran's fault. It all started with the Strix board.
Hashtag blame Kieran.
Hashtag blame Kieran. But I am glad, well, I'm in two minds. I'm upset that I've spent money that I probably didn't need to do. But ultimately this is a tech channel, so I should be investigating this stuff rather than relying on third-party reviews, etc, etc. So it kind of does make sense. Ugly Wolf says, told you that lad is nothing but bother. Yeah.
Oh, is Ugly Bob alright? He's been a bit quiet tonight.
He's drinking. Where are we? What was I looking at? Yeah, so case-wise, when it comes to the fish tank look, I've got to be honest with you, I did like the TechWare VXR. And I still do. And it's still under the desk. So it might make a reappearance, I don't know. I'm still really happy with the thermal take, to be fair. I've not got any reason to not keep it. And actually, I have found, I'm not sure if some of you noticed before, if you saw the LCD panel. Now, that has actually been quite useful for me keeping an eye on temperatures, because obviously when I'm using the system, I'm kind of looking at that and thinking, how warm is the CPU getting and why is it not idling? And it did seem that the first iteration of the thermal take software, which they supplied us for review for that LCD panel, had some weird bug in it. So it was going really mental, and it was using like 10 to 20% of CPU usage, which on a Ryzen 9 3900X, that's a lot of CPU cycles. And I kept on looking over thinking, well, why is it idling at 45 to 50 degrees Celsius? Seems a little bit on the warm side, and it was like knocking 55, 60 at times. I was like, that's idling. There's something definitely wrong there. I need to look at that. Maybe I've installed it wrong or something. But I did a bit of a research and investigation, and it appears that Thermal Take USA actually released a new updated software for the whole system, the TT RGB Plus software, and I've installed it, and now, even while I'm streaming this, it's 45 degrees Celsius, which, considering it's in a 23 degree room, that ain't bad for a 3900X, whilst basically streaming and with multiple different sources and all the background tasks, running 2 monitors and all that kind of stuff. I've got loads of tabs open. So that is pretty good. It's certainly better than the 55 degrees to 60 degrees it had jumped to for some bizarre reason. So yeah, I'm quite pleased now. RAM load's only at 50%, well 49%. I do love that little gauge, I really do. I quite often find myself just looking at it for no reason. Anyway. Alessa says, my 3900X idles at 28 to 30 degrees Celsius. That is pretty good. I think mine would be better as well if I had the radiator at the front rather than the top, because it's taking, because the graphics card doesn't have the fans running at all. It's just basically a heat source inside there, which is going straight up into the radiator. So it's probably not the ideal situation there, but I think 45 degrees whilst it's actually doing stuff, rendering and what have you, I'm quite happy with that. It's certainly better than it was. So if you are using Thermal Take software, make sure you get the update. It will improve your life and reduce your temps. Shrek OC says the 13500 is faster than the 12600K. It's almost as fast as the 12700 in Cinebench. Cinebench isn't really the be-all and end-all, but I appreciate what you're saying there. That is, Cinebench is one of those things I use to gauge performance all the time. It's probably, for me, the easiest way of doing it. There's other things you can use. Passmark is quite good, but then if you try and look up passmark scores for other systems, it's actually quite difficult. And actually, I should say as well, we actually got a world record this week, myself and young Catherine over there. We managed to get the world record #1 score on TimeSpy Extreme with our system, with the 13500 and the NVIDIA RTX 3060 Ti, currently positioned at #1 and #2 in the charts. So that was pretty good. I wasn't sure, and it was late testing on Thursday or Friday night, and I posted it in our Discord and said, "Oh, there's the score. Not sure if it's any good." And Glenn came back and said, "What do you mean not bad? You've got the world record." It's like, all right, that's pretty cool. Granted, obviously, this processor only came out on January the 4th, so there aren't that many actually in the wild. Although saying that, there are a lot of people that have been using this with a 3060 Ti LHR, the low hash rate versions, but hardly anyone with the actual 3060 Ti standard. So therefore we managed to get the world record. So thanks for pointing that out, Glenn. That's much appreciated. I've never had a world record before on 3D Mark, so I was quite pleased with that. I should see if I could find it, but I don't think I'll be able to. I might do. Stuart Cleary says, if everyone has different benchmark software, then how can anyone compare numbers? That is very true. That is very true. I've always been one of those people that I honestly don't like benchmarking. I only tend to use it now to illustrate stuff for you guys out there. If I didn't need to, I probably wouldn't. If anything, it's more of a thing of like, is my system performing as it should? After that, done.
Sofa's bench, house temps on stock cooler.
On the stock cooler, it's actually very good. Using it on the stock cooler, when it's just in normal Windows use and idling, it's basically using so little power, it makes no difference at all. But I did find as soon as you hit Cinebench with it, the scores go right out. And I think I hit 94, 95 degrees Celsius, which is like, shit, that's not good. So it's still within, I think it's the TJ Max on this processor is 100 Celsius. So it wasn't thermal throttling, and it didn't appear to affect performance, but the temperatures were getting a little bit where I don't like them. Domas says, I recently got around X370 Strix board. It seemed a very premium board and got me thinking that if AMD will have had about the same upgrade path for M5, then it might be worth investing in. Yeah, that is true. If AM5 is around for the long haul, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. For the early adopters, whether or not we're going to be needing new motherboards every 2 to 3 years, like with B450, B550, now B660. Well, I suppose if you, yeah, B350 lasted quite a long time. B450 was around seemingly for ages, and B550 was a good, what, 2.5, 3 years? So if you think the entire, no, it can't be that long. I don't know. It seems like AM4 has been around forever. Shrek says, for an AIO, I find the best overall configuration in terms of cooling to be front mounted and push-pull. Yeah, I think you're probably right there. Ugly Bob, who doesn't enjoy a good toilet burger? Sophia's Bench, how tempted I've done that one. I missed anything there. Matthew Day says that A320s even got updates for 5000 series eventually. That is very true. RK says, plus you can set this 13500 into PL2 154 watts. I think I've actually got it set to 165 at the moment. I'm actually wondering if does it actually make a difference to set the PL2 limit to 154 watts? I'm going to try it. This may be very boring for you, but I'm going to try it. Let me reboot. I'm going to try that, 154 watts. So what is the current score that we had on Cinebench? Let's go back to the desktop. Is it still on there? So what have we got? 20,242 points. Somebody write that down, please. Actually, can I remember that? 20242. Yeah, that's easy. I can remember that. He says. Right, I'm going to reboot the system. I don't think I'll be able to show you the BIOS screen actually in there. And sorry for those of you that are getting the butt shot right now.
Does I have to write something down, did you say?
Yeah, 20242.
204.
20242.
Say it again.
20242. Jesus. Right, is that showing the BIOS on both screens? I don't know. Let me go to the other screen. HDMI, nope. We've definitely got no input there. So bear with me one moment. Hold the line, caller. So, advanced CPU. Oh, cool. Long duration power limit. PL2 is long duration, isn't it? So let's try 154. Short duration power limit. I'm going to set to 154 as well. Let's try that. Rebooting. Oh god, my nose and throat is getting worse now. It's better not get worse. I hate colds. Vitamin C and cold tea, you know, it makes sense. It's Dr. Bumcheeks, you have to excuse him, he's a little behind. Oh god, I've got to log in, hang on. That was a surprise about Lisa Marie Presley, wasn't it? Well, I say a surprise, not really. Everyone's dropping like bloody flies. Right, where are we? Hardware monitor. Oh, I suppose that's going to be on the other screen again, isn't it? Ah, there we go. Chuck that over there. Cinebench. Cinebench. Minimize.
Try and tweak DDR for more performance.
Is that a program? Hang on a moment. Where's my mouse gone? Oh, there it is. Get rid of the voltages because those are a bit irrelevant. There we go. We settled down yet? Are we idolizing? That's near, damn it. Right, let's do just a quick short run, see what happens. And here we go. Somebody should mention as well to Kath that that render there isn't Dave Aitken's living room. She used to think that. People were she's like, why is everyone posting pictures of Dave Aitken's living room on there? On the Discord, yeah, the dining room. It's like, no, it's just a Cinebench. I'm guessing the scores are going to be basically identical. Also, do bear in mind things like Discord and OneDrive and stuff are running in the background as well, so they're all going to take a few points off. Yep, that's actually made it worse.
Why does it say Windows 10? Isn't this 11?
It is Windows 11, but for all intents and purposes, it's the same thing. So yeah, we hit 174 watts there. Temperature-wise, 78 degrees.
202.42.
Yeah, so we actually lost a good few points there. Let's do another one. Maybe there's still some background processes still bedding in. Give it a go.
I really did think that was Dave Aitken's dining room.
I know.
Looking out over the park in his old house. Flat.
Yeah.
I pictured him sat there looking out.
But why is everyone rendering Dave's living room?
I didn't say that. But you better have a dining room like that, because that's how I picture it.
His is probably tighter than that.
No, my dining room is a tip.
Hey, there we go. We're back to where we were. So 202.48. What do we have last time? 202.42.
Yeah.
So it's within margin. So basically, the settings I had were essentially okay. I don't think there's already.
I don't need to write anything down. Ugly Bob's cool at all that.
Ugly Bob knows what's going on. There you go. Mark Berry says my dining room table ends up with all the junk on it. My dining room table ends up somewhere I got to film stuff, and it's full of cat hair.
And cats.
Cat hairs and
You
bloody.
got it down to 1 tonight.
Is that a flea? No, just dirt. Yeah, there is only one cat currently, Daisy.
Poppy's twin.
Hi, Andre. Ugly Bob says, "Ooh, loads lower." Yeah, that did go bad, didn't it?
Dave's living room has a black casting couch in the corner.
A wipe clean casting couch. Matthew Day says RAM is probably in gear 2. Might be better with the fastest you can get away with in gear 1. Will that be... It is definitely in gear 2 currently. So yeah, I don't understand how gear 1 and gear 2 works with RAM. I kind of get the basic principle behind it, but gear 1, is that like a 1-to-1 ratio? Is that what the idea of that is? Gear 2 is like either 1-to-2 or 1-to-4.
Tweak timings.
Tweak timings. Oh, what, for the RAM?
I'm only reading, I don't know.
Mark says, Mike, is the curve optimization curve in Ryzen Master? This is Intel, so I can't use that. I wish I could.
Reuben says, what's that?
Bruvim, Will, what's up? Yo, yo. Yo, yo, in the house. Home is. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I got to the point now where this cold is just getting to my brain and I can feel my stupidity levels increasing. Matthew says it's like the AMD drop when you cross the max F clock, U clock. Got you. Although saying that, it does seem that this system, if you look up Oh God, what's the site that does all the hardware checking? They do all the CPU reviews and stuff. Officially, the 13500 is supposed to score something like about 18,600 or something. So we are getting better anyway. Whether it's because of the motherboard or not, I don't know. Maybe it's the cooling, maybe.
When did her son die?
Who?
Lisa Marie Presley.
Oh, I don't know. Ages ago, wasn't it? Custom water loop seems like too much money and effort. I think custom loops are very much like custom cars. It doesn't make a huge amount of difference for the amount of money that you're putting into it, but it's the overall statement, the look. So to have that unique car or that unique PC, it's that sort of thing.
Captain Meat.
Captain Meat says, been off this week and I forgot it's Saturday night. Mike, you are the Jim Bowen of YouTube. Look at what you could have won.
Ryzen.
A Ryzen 69K. Yes, it does look cool. It does look cool. Right, so what other benchmarks or things do you want to see running on the processor? Because that is basically what the stream was supposed to be about. Crypto Chic, hi, would you recommend getting the 13500 or this 12600K? They are at the same price in my country. It depends what motherboard you're getting or you have got. There are going to be limitations. So if you've got a 12th gen board that doesn't have BIOS flashback, you're going to be knackered because you do need to have a 12th gen CPU in place to flash the BIOS to take the 13th gen. So that was part of my issue, the fact that I had a 13500 processor, I had a B660 motherboard, and there are B660 motherboards and Z690 boards which would have probably been better for me, but they didn't have BIOS excuse me, they didn't have BIOS flashback. And actually I think it was the MSI B760 Tomahawk I wanted, but that doesn't have BIOS flashback, so I would have still needed a 12th gen CPU to flash the BIOS to put my 13th gen in. So I kind of forced myself into the upgrade, even though the Tomahawk B660 and the B760 were only like £10 between them. So it kind of made sense going for the newer version anyway, I think. I don't really see any benefits of going the B660 for the £10 saving. So yeah, it doesn't, in terms of speed wise, if you're getting a motherboard which will allow overclocking, you're going to spend the extra on that, then the 12600K is probably going to be better if you want to overclock it to meet or beat the 13500. But the 13500 in its stock configuration against the 12600K in a stock configuration, the 13500 is faster. Stuart Cleary says, the stream paused for anyone? No. Time Spy. We can do Time Spy. Well done, Bob. Bob always comes in with the sensible answers. See if we can get another world record. Let's actually, I'm going to close some other programs down. Exit. Let's close down the Creative Cloud. Quit Creative Cloud. What else can I quit? OneDrive. Yep, let's quit that. Exit OneDrive. I suppose really I should close down MSI Center. But I like my RGB, so I won't.
Think how much you'd save.
Think how much energy I'd save by closing down MSI Center. But look at the RGB. What about the RGB?
Shut in a cupboard.
No! Must have my RGB. I'm going to have to get it to run on the other screen, aren't I? Sorry, I am picking my ear. Stuart Cleary says, I think my PC is fooked with a virus after 4 years. Oh. Gotta be careful. Saying that, I'm probably paranoid now. I don't do anything online which could jeopardise me. No hooky films or anything these days. Right. Now which monitor is this going to run on now? I'm going to have to drag it over there, aren't I? Right. Oh, Christ. By the power of Arnold Vosloo. Bob's fault.
OneDrive is always the first thing I uninstall with a fresh Windows install.
Oh. Yeah, I am. When I do my next. Right. So there we go. It is Time Spy Extreme or whatever. Let's see what happens. Let's see if we get a world record again. I'll have no idea. I can't tell a bloody thing anyway. Oh, hang on. Cinebench is still running in the background. Must close.
Oh. Might be looking at Dave's house.
You're not looking at Dave's house anymore, Catherine. Told you about that. Mike P, I've never bothered about water cooling until I bought an NZXT H1, which came with the 140 AIO, and to be honest, it works really well. Mike P, when you're ready for it to be flushed out or cleaned, let me know. that is one of my specialities now, although it didn't work very well. Shrek says gear is the mem controller to DRAM ratio. Gear 1 is 1:1, gear 2 is 1:2. So, Shrek says RAM doesn't affect Cinebench at all. No, it doesn't. It's very minimal, if anything, that it actually changes there. So there we go. There is our run going. Ruvim says, what CPU is in the current build you're using right now? That is the 13500. Nick Barnes, did you say the temps are now lower after changing the settings? No, roughly the same. Doesn't seem to make any difference at all. Really. RK says, I am planning soon to get the 13500. Oh, I haven't got it on that screen, have I? Planning soon to get 13500, so I am satisfied, but I am interested in ASRock 1C Max boost for all cores if it really work.
What is this?
What, that woman?
Yeah, why she's got a hairdryer?
It's not a hairdryer, it's a gun.
Doesn't look like
Because she's
one.
a time spy. She's like James Bond,
Looks like a hairdryer.
but with boobs. James Brock says I'm going to have a Welsh... Oh, sorry, Welsh. I'm going to have a Mountain Dew with dinner instead of a brew tonight. Good for you. Stuart Cleary only signed up for a Vast Premium today. I think I left it too late. Oh dear. Come on. Cinebench run, you swine. James Brock says she has a nice ass. Is that Kath or me?
He must work out.
Aletta says James Bond with boobs. Good idea for a novel. I'm sure someone's done it already. Ruvim says, I've been thinking of getting a 5800X from an upgrade from my 4600G. Yeah, that will be quite a noticeable upgrade there.
Jane Bond.
Jane Bond. The bird with the golden gun. Stuart Cleary is going to get a new GPU and CPU because he got a virus. Now that is class. Come on. What are we going to see?
Sorry?
Huh?
What did you just say?
Don't know. Come on, what's the score going to be? Wait, I think of, I don't know. Have I won? Did I win? 11,822. What did I put in the Discord yesterday, Kath? Can you see it in there?
Where is it?
It'd be in benchmarking and stuff. I'm not sure. We'll have a look.
One of those rooms I never go in.
Yeah. So 11,822. Actually, if I can put, I'm not sure if I can. Can't even speak.
11,693.
11,693.
No, that's the minimum, isn't it? And maximum. Where do I look?
Top left. I know the other. I posted a picture.
That one.
Yeah.
11,693.
Oh, so we did beat it slightly. So 11,822. That is possibly a new world record.
You've knocked yourself off the top spot.
I've knocked myself off the top spot again. Although I'm not too sure. I'm gonna have to have a look now.
But lucky bobble, excited now, knocking yourself off.
I've knocked myself off. I didn't feel a thing. And I just noticed actually Discord and stuff is still running in the background. Let's have a look. Time Spy. Extreme Records.
Does she have stilettos on that Time Spy?
Probably.
Do 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 do.
3D Mark Hall of Fame. Where's the bit where you can search for graphics cards?
Do you get to see her legs?
Results. 3D Mark results. Search for CPU. Do you want to see her legs?
Yeah, her feet.
She's got hairy legs. RTX 3060 Ti. Where's 3060 Ti? Come on. 3060 Ti. Sorry. 3D Mark Time Spy search. Highest score 11,822 points. Does it say who from? Yes. Mike's Unboxing. So Mike's Unboxing currently has the world record #1, #2, and #4.
What happened to #3?
Some sod from some unknown country is beating me there. Who's that? What country is that? Gosh darn it. What country? What country? Does it show what country? That was with a Zotac card. So not a standard one. Does it say where? And an Asus motherboard. Tough Gaming B660 M+. Micro ATX. Micro ATX nonsense. Corsair DDR4 3600. Okay. I'm not happy about that. Does it say where they are? I'm gonna find them. It doesn't say who they are or where they are. It's got a flag, a red flag with a star in the middle of it. What does that mean? Their username is 10725565555WKS.
Ugly Bobbin now.
It's Bob's fault. So there's only four scores in total, and
Was that Time Spy
well,
Extreme?
no, just Time Spy, not Extreme. Sorry.
Hover over the flag.
I'm hovering. Oh, it's because I haven't accepted cookies, I expect.
I'm eating peanuts. It's not my fault.
Now, if I hover over the flag, it doesn't do anything on
Ask
there.
Ugly Bob what the flag is. He'll know. I bet Ugly Bob knows every single flag.
It's a red flag with looks like a yellow star in the middle. I think. Actually, if I can share a screen, can't I? There you go. Why didn't I do that earlier? That would have been a lot easier.
Lucky I got a tech channel.
If I had a tech channel, I'd be dangerous. So, anyway. I got a world record. That'll be Vietnam.
Should you have all that on there?
Yeah, it's fine. Good morning, Vietnam. China.
Oh yeah, that's just the chat for this, isn't it?
Yeah. So it is Vietnam. I thought China first of all, but then my eyes are pretty bad. Well done, Bob.
China's just a spot, isn't it?
China's asshole.
Just
Yes.
a circle.
RK, Adaptive Boost Technology, ABT. That is what I'm talking about. Okay, thank you. Aletta says, I can't do Time Spy Extreme, I'm too cheap to pay for the app. Oh dear. Right, let's get back to the main screen. So yeah, pretty happy with that. World record. Well, if it weren't for that damn Vietnamese person, I would be... they only beat me by 5 points as well. So I need to do another run, don't I? With a slightly lesser score to kick him off.
Or more to kick yourself down. You need to do another 2 good runs, don't you?
Yeah.
To kick your man yourself off the bottom.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Some 10-year-old in Vietnam will be going mental now and will be missing school's break at high score.
Yeah, if you're like, Englander, asshole. I don't know what they speak like over there, so that was just an interpretation of multiple languages all thrown in together. In no way racist. SC, just reading against Core i9 12900K, the i5 13400 is 3.8% faster in Counter-Strike Global Offensive at 1080p. That does sound about right. It's a pretty quick little processor, I'll be honest with you.
If that PC had a custom loop, you might get that 5% plus.
If that PC had a custom loop, it would have mean that those swines over at MSI would have furnished me with one. Although they don't do one yet, do they? The MSI don't do custom loops, do they? That's a real shame. I think
Thermaltake do, they don't they?
Thermaltake do a kit,
They did tell
which
you
I've been really. You can't see it, can you? I'm gonna look it up now. Thermaltake do a like an all-in-one kit. Hardline kit.
There's a question from Dom as well. Hold on a minute, mates. I've got to put some wood on my fire. Put you there.
What is it? Thermaltake Pacific. This I like the look of, but I don't think they'll send me it. Let's have a look. Here we go. Desktop. So Thermaltake Pacific C360 DDC hard tube water cooling kit. That looks like just a ticket. I like the look of that. Little reservoir going on there. And you get some transparent coolant, which we can replace with Bucks Fizz or something.
For when you're making your mind up.
Oh, look. How to bend PETG tubes. I reckon they should send me one of those.
Maybe 2, just in case.
Yeah, send 2 because I'm bound to break one.
A bit heavy-handed, aren't you? At first.
That's some nice stuff.
Come on then.
I might have to see if I can get Adam from Thermaltake to actually come round with that kit and bend my tubes for me, so to speak.
Who have you got to meet up with?
That was...
That's not, is it?
K-Link. Aletta says, I never like custom loop kits. I don't really, but I don't know. I think it would be good.
Did you answer Dom's?
Dom, where did Dom say? Dom, it might sound stupid, but does it feel snappier in Windows than 5000 series from AMD? It doesn't feel snappier, but it feels smoother, if that makes sense. I don't really know how to kind of validate it other than that. It does feel like multitasking feels really slick, but it doesn't feel faster, it just feels smoother. And I don't get that kind of... Oh, I'm in the wrong fucking window. Are we in the right window now? Hello? Yeah, it does. It feels pretty decent. I quite like it. It's hard to really, because of coming from the 5800X, it does, oh bloody hell, it does feel smooth, but then the 5800 did feel smooth as well, but not as smooth. There was always those kind of little slight judders, which I haven't experienced as of yet, although this is only the second day of using it, so potentially that can still come. Something I did notice actually, which was a massive improvement, is when I'm actually editing in Adobe Premiere, which I wonder if I could actually show you that. Yeah, when I'm editing in Adobe Premiere, on my timeline, normally I've got it set so that my paused resolution, so when it's not playing, is 4K, and when it's playing, it's at 4 times less, so basically 1080p. But now I've got it, Poppy, out! So when I'm playback mode now, I've got it to 2x rather than 4x, so it's now playing back at whatever is halfway between 1080p and 4K. So, I don't know, 20, not 1440, it would be, I don't know, whatever it is anyway. So it's kind of halfway between 4K and not 4K. But it feels smoother. Video editing definitely, and rendering, I did a 12-minute video and it took 3 minutes to render using quick sync as well as the NVIDIA card, whereas previously it would have taken probably 5 minutes, 6 minutes. So there's definitely an improvement there. So if you're thinking of Adobe Premiere or Photoshop, you will see a noticeable improvement in performance. Shrek says, I've heard that the Intel iGPU is awesome for Premiere Timeline. It does seem to be. I could probably, I'm not tried it yet, but actually maybe I could try that. Have I moved my footage? Let me see. Poppy, stop it. Whatever you're doing. Where are we? Premiere.
Did you see RK's one about Thermalright Peerless Assassin 120 SE?
No.
Should I just write that?
We have got that now.
Have we?
We've got one here. Bob sent it last week. I was supposed to be reviewing that today, but I didn't get around to it. Right, let me just copy some footage over a minute so I can show it.
Tell RK that you've got it then.
RK, the processor, or the cooler, sorry, that you're looking for. Where are we? Where is RK? Check this tower cooler. Yeah, I've got, where is it? It's down here somewhere. Where did I put it? I've got it in the review stack shelf. That is kind of like the new version of what you are looking for, I'm guessing. Thermalright Assassin. So that is going to be, that's on the reviews to be done this week. That came from Ugly Bob. Thank you, Ugly Bob. Oh, that footage is transferring over. Bear with me.
Stuart Cleary, my cat is trying to kill me, keeps running through my legs at the top of the stairs in the mornings. Mine used to just attack my legs.
Yeah, ours used to do that.
No, he didn't run. It's just the boy cats, isn't it? They just jump out of bushes in the garden and onto my legs.
Shrek says something very valid actually. There's no way to tell if one config is snappier in Windows than the other. Anyone who says something is snappier is rationalizing having just shelled out loads of cache. Now, I would agree and I would disagree with that, because this system and that system are literally kind of next to each other. So when I flip between the two, I can definitely tell the difference in terms of Windows performance. Now, they're different setups, but you can still feel, I think, personally, that one feels slightly smoother than the other. Although, if I did a blind test on it,
You wouldn't be able to see the screen.
I wouldn't be able to see the screen, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, it does feel different.
Maybe you should do some blindfolding unboxing.
Yeah. Well, Bill, I just ran Time Spy and the score was 12715 at 4K. If that makes any sense at all. That sounds pretty good. Especially if it's at 4K. Very impressive. Right, that's finished. Good, good. Right. Right, let's minimize that and close that one. Time Spy, close window. Drag that over to there. This may or may not work. It appears it has. So there is my, let's close that down now. So this is my Adobe Premiere kind of workflow going on. So if I press play.
There's a little latch at the top, pull the latch up, pull it out, and then you can take it out for cleaning purposes, etc. Or if you want to, leave it out altogether if red isn't your thing. But overall, yeah, pretty decent, and there's a lot of
You can hear that.
on at the bottom with the grab
So scrubbing it through. Pretty smooth and pretty fluid. So that's currently at a quarter. I wonder if I can do it at full.
4 years ago, 140mm fans weren't particularly available on the market.
Yeah, that seems to be playing at full speed.
So they have got cutouts for 120mm there. They have got the actual bits there, so if you want to put 140s in, you can do, but there'll be somewhat of an offset, so this is kind of going to be blocking the majority of the fans. I think personally 120s are the way to go with this. Obviously if you want to, you can.
Scrub through, okay. So 4K scrubbing as well. That's with, this is effectively two 4K timelines. So you've got the base footage at the bottom here, which is with the audio and also the video. And then you've got like a B-roll clip over the top. So you're basically playing 8K there, because it is rendering both, but one's on top of the other. So if I hide this layer, you see I'm still talking beneath it. So it's just a layer on top of layer. So you've got two lots of 4K footage so being played back at the same time.
Even though it is slightly off. Moving around to the back, we've got the back panel, which is held on with a separate controller.
So that is something that I could not possibly do before. If I tried to play 4K and actually have one on top of the other, it wouldn't happen. And part of the reason behind that is if I go into preferences and into media. So now at the bottom here where I've got my H.264 and NVENC hardware acceleration, I've now got the option for Intel and NVIDIA rather than just having NVIDIA. Now, actually, if I take off of that, click OK, it's still going to play. Okay, you see the bar move in there at the top? It's dropping frames where it's moving, not very smooth. Yeah, and that feels, I'm dragging the timeline, it doesn't feel as smooth at all. Yeah, that should be.
Clasp it back together, that holds the drive in place, or there's screw holes, and also if you use a 2.5-inch drive, you can
Yeah, that, I don't know if it is same to you, but to me that looks like it's a little bit laggy.
a couple of screws on it, but it isn't actually removable. It is riveted in place, so unfortunately not a great deal you can do with that, but it is spaced back far enough for the game. Riveted on that side, so kind of pointless these days. And you can see here we've got this nice hexagonal mesh again, which followed.
Could be the processor that it's just changed anyway that's helping, but when it's rendering, it does show that there's 2 graphics cards rendering rather than just one, which does help with that. Where are we? Edit. Where are we? Media. Yeah, that feels a lot smoother. Don't know, there could be a bit of the old placebo. Anyway, at least you can see what it is I do, rather than just sit on my ass all day, doing nothing.
Other camera? Oh, you have. That's right.
It is on the other camera. Did I miss anything there? Aletta says, Mike is speaking in a language I can't understand. Mookie MC says, no proxies for Mike on that timeline. That is something which I never ever want to have to do. I would rather spend money than use proxies. I don't like using proxies. It's just something else that I got to add to my workflow, which just takes time and effort.
What's proxies?
Proxies, you can have your footage and then you can get Premiere to make a proxy of your footage. So you've got your original 4K footage, you can set a proxy of like 1080p, you can edit the whole thing using the proxies, which are a lot less demanding, and then at the end when you click on render, it renders from the original 4K files rather than the proxies that you've just been editing. Hopefully that makes sense.
Not to me.
Mookie MC says, hello gang, lurking and enjoying the show. If I stick my finger in my ear, my voice sounds funny. I've realised. I'm not sure if it does it on this side, does it? Oh yeah, it does as well. Well, that's cool. Learn something new every day. Yes, proxies are something which I don't like at all. What was that? Oh, could you not hear me when I was doing the stuff in the timeline? Sorry.
Say ear or rear.
Yeah, probably that as well.
Let's try that.
Stuart Cleary with a super chat, 20 euros. Says, before the alcohol makes me forget. Thanks, Mike and Kath. No worries, you're very, very welcome. Thank you, sir. Wild Bill, if you just pressed enter again, I could have swore you said that just now. Or am I getting deja vu? That's Maisie Cam. There's Maisie. Maisie took a dump on our bed this week. Very upset with that.
Oh.
It was very weird. She was sleeping on our pillow, and I went to have a shower, and I come back into the bedroom, and I normally go into the bedroom, say, hey, personal assistant, good morning, get my news feed from Google, and getting dressed and that. And I was sat on the bed, with my socks on, I was like, what's that smell? Something don't smell very good in here. And I looked over, there's Maisie's over there. I was like, oh, Maisie's been farting again, a dirty little thing. And I was like, that seems to be lingering for a long time. Like, what's up with her ass? Like, Maisie, what's going on over there? And then I reached round to grab my trousers and I was like, whoa, there's this big old poop on the bed. It's like, Maisie! Yes, not very good.
Hashtag blame Daisy.
Hashtag blame Daisy, yeah, should have done.
She looks more like a lion than a cat. She'll be short-furred in the summer.
Mookie MC says, let me know if you want or need a junior editor, Mike. To be honest with you, my footage is so bad that I don't think anyone else could edit it other than me. I've struggled to try and make it all make sense. So, thank you for the offer though. I may take you up on it one day.
Maisie's Flame's mum. Say.
Yeah, Maisie is Flame's mum. Mike P says I'd be interested to see what GPU that processor can handle before it starts bottlenecking it in Times by Extreme. Could you try it with the 4090 Ti, please? I would love to be able to try it with the 4090 Ti. Nothing would give me greater pleasure. Lucky Man 1 says watercooling.co.uk, £211 for the water kit. Yeah, which seems like a lot of money, doesn't it, for what it is. Right,
Any more questions?
Hugh Luttrell says, your voice sounds funny to me this week. My hearing aids quit working. It might be me. I have got a bit of a cold, so I am a little bit more nasal than usual. I'm afraid to say. Sorry, Kath, what was that?
So what is the regrets?
The regrets? What, of buying this system? I regret not getting a K processor, and I regret not buying a Z series board. Is basically the long and short of it. I should have bought a K series, definitely, I think, to allow a little bit of overclocking, a bit more flexibility, because it's all nice and it's a great processor. Don't get me wrong, it's fine, but there's something inside me that, because of using AMD for so long and being used to be able to go in and actually change things if I want to, not that I ever do, to be honest with you. If anything, I undervolt. I never overclock. I've never set like a manual default overclock on my cores, like 4.5 gigahertz all cores, and set it. I never do that. But not being able to do that really winds me up, and it shouldn't do. And the reason why these exist is because 99.9% of people never overclock their processor. They just buy it, install it, play games, and that's it. They're done with it. But I think there is that small percentage which do like to be able to tweak things a little bit. I'm also pissed off that MSI didn't have a max version of the Tomahawk board, so that I could do a little bit of base clock overclocking, or B clock. I think that would have been enough to kind of give in to those Z series fantasies. Just a little bit of base clock overclocking would have been more than enough. So that is my initial regrets. My other regrets are the fact that what this costs. So £230-ish for the processor, roughly £230 for, was that 260? I can't remember. Say 250. Well, say 500. Say 500 for the lot. That's easier. So £500 for a motherboard and a processor, which I've already got a Ryzen 9 3900 and a Asus Tough gaming board that I could use it with. I've also got a 5800X and a B550 Gaming Edge Wi-Fi, which I could use it with. Both are probably similar prices in terms of the overall package. This is probably a little bit faster in the majority of cases, but it's only ever going to be as fast as it is out of the box. Whereas the others, I could potentially overclock to bring them up a little bit, possibly. Whether or not I'd be able to get them to this level, I doubt, really. But I guess my regrets are the fact that my AM4 platform was basically as good. If it wasn't including video editing, there would be no point in me changing at all, in the slightest. So I would have effectively just wasted the best part of £500, which sucks. But being that I do video edit, I can sell the other stuff off to make some of the money back, hopefully, and tax write-offs, etc. So that makes, effectively, I can claim the tax back on this and the motherboard and all the stuff we buy. So,
and then pay it when you sell it on.
yeah, it's about 30% off. So,
and then 30% on when you sell it.
As long as you keep it, you save money. As soon as you sell it, you've got to pay tax on what you sell it. So you don't really win. But if I was planning to keep it for the foreseeable, or at least for the, I think it's the 3 years that the tax, no, actually it doesn't make any difference, does it? You can write it off apparently at some point after 3 or 5 years or something. But anyway, regardless of that, for 30% off of it, taking it down to what, £350 all in. that makes it worthwhile. So if you're a business owner, or you can write it off as a tax exemption or tax kind of thing, then yeah, it's kind of worth getting. Although I am also thinking maybe I should have went AM5 for the longevity, because this 13th gen is the tick and the talk from the LGA 1700 platform. It seems that the 14th gen is going to be LGA 1816, so they're going to add more pins to it, so they're not going to be backwards compatible. So unless we get another last hurrah from Intel on this platform, then this is kind of the end of the road for it, which sucks. And I wish I had a board which had BIOS flashback.
Oh, she's gone up with Arnold.
Don't go up there, butthead. Come here. Meow.
Where's Arnold?
She never goes up there, unless the camera's on. Yeah, tax deduction. That is the way.
Oh, she's doing her OnlyFans poses now.
Mookie MC says the thermal take case PC is doing the streaming and the Intel build is elsewhere. Yeah, the Intel build is literally over there. So in our little room, Kath sits over in that corner. She's got her PC there, got a fireplace there. My PC's over there for video editing, and the streaming PC is here. So yeah, hopefully that is the regrets. Overall, it's a positive note, I think, for the 13th gen processors. If you're on something similar already, unless you can sell your stuff to make your money back, then basically there's no point. Unless you have a special use case like video editing, that sort of thing. Cactus. Hi guys, neighbour from Kingswood is watching. Best regards and late Happy New Year. Thank you very much. Good old Kingswood. So I think that is, I think that's pretty much it. As much as I'd love to go on for hours and hours, I think I've pretty much exhausted everything I can say on here without going off tangent entirely. I think that is pretty much it. Obviously, we will be doing a follow-up video as the days go on. I'm going to get more and more use out of this, see what more I can do to it, investigate other methods of possibly overclocking, base clocking, messing around with thermal limits, all that kind of stuff. I don't think realistically there's going to be much more I can squeeze out of this processor, which is pretty sad. But having said that, it is still pretty mighty fast. And if you're looking at potentially building a 12th gen system, and you're looking at somewhere between the 12400, the 12500, 12600K, then you might as well just go for that and save the money and get almost 12700 performance out of it. Mike P says, I'm tempted to upgrade my 5600X to the 5800 X3D as a final upgrade to my AM4 platform. Any thoughts? I would probably say that is probably the best thing to do. Realistically, hold on to it for the foreseeable, because realistically AM5 and Intel 13th gen aren't going to offer you a great deal, especially if you're changing a platform. So that is pretty much it. Thank you all for joining us this Saturday evening. We will see you again, hopefully, all being well, next Saturday at approximately 8 PM or 8:15, depending how long it takes me to go shopping for the bargain bits down the local Co-op and Sainsbury's. We did well tonight, we really did. Our tea cost us
84p each.
84 pence each for spicy noodles with prawns and
An extra bag of noodles.
Extra bag of noodles in there. Happy days. So we did save, we did well. So anyway, thank you all for joining us. Hopefully you've had a great weekend, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. I didn't do the usual thing, did I? I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. There you go. Old habits die hard.
Poppy.
Poppy, say goodnight.